Okay, welcome. Let's start. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late. Greetings from Finland and welcome everyone to this brief webinar where we will be going through the new Inclus product release and new features that have been recently released. I am joined today by our customer success superstars, Roope and Matthias, and they will be going through some of the features and functionalities like on a very concrete level. My name is Irmeli. I'm running marketing here at Inclus, and I will hand over to Matthias and Roope in just a minute. I'll just point out that please send in questions through the Q&A functionality that you will see on the panel. And we were planning to do this so that we will take up those questions in the end. Matthias and Roope will go through the new features and functionalities at first, and then we will address any questions and comments that you may have towards the end. And just a reminder, we will be recording this webinar, and we will make this recording available to you afterwards, so that you can also go back to the new features as you prefer. All right, guys, the floor is yours, and this is just a quick overview of what we will be going through, mostly in the next few minutes or 15 or 20 minutes. And yeah, maybe I'll just shut up now, and Matthias, you can continue, please.
Thank you, Irkku, and nice to meet you, everyone, and pleased to present the new feature of Inclus. So 5.13 that was released, I think it was last week, so brand new features. And let me share my screen first. So first I'm gonna go through with the latest updates about creating criterion formulas. So this is something that has been only in Inclus staff possibility, but now we have enabled this for all customers as well. And now concentrating especially how to build the risk matrix from the criterion formula place. So now I have a couple of examples here made ready, but for you to start to do it, there is this add new criterion formula, and then you start to build the risk matrix there. But let's go through the ready-made example. So here we have this risk matrix example. So first you just add the name for that risk matrix if you want to edit it somehow, and then we have these calculation settings here, and there is this option to choose the data matrix. So it creates the custom data matrix that you would like to have in your visualization page, and we'll go through that soon after this. And then you choose the scale points and values, and also the descriptions for those values, and then you can also choose the colors. So for example, value number 1 could be green and 5 could be red, for example. If you're used to this kind of risk matrices, it's like 1 is low risk and 5 is high risk. So it's quite visually nice that you can then customize it by your own needs. And next step is to select the x-axis. So what criteria are you using? So for example, I have this risk impact here and risk likelihood here. So it could be other way around, and depends what kind of criteria you have. And this scale could be also different. for example, 1 to 20, depends if you want to have the calculation, for example, multiplying the values. So here we have the data matrix so that you can also decide what kind of values have what colors and what descriptions. So for example, here we have values under 1.5. I have put low and green value there, but this can be then changed as well if you want to adjust the values and colors. So here, for example, over 4.5, there is high risk. So this can be changed afterwards as well and modified if needed. And different kind of custom and special looking risk matrices is possible to do. And then, of course, there is this rounding option. So you could choose how to round the values, for example, to the nearest option. This is maybe the best for using the average values. So then just save, and then I can show you how to visually show it in the visualization page. And here also you have the basic criteria, so you can have the traffic light system here as well. It's similarly you can edit the criterions and colors. And this also affects to the result table, for example. Okay, now let's go to the result page. So here I have a ready set data matrix in place. So this appears when you have made those adjustments in the criteria tab. So here it's also like similarly looking table, and here you can also check that it's suitable for your needs as well. And its risk likelihood is there in the y-axis and risk impact in the x-axis. And then the numbers here indicates that how many risks, for example, are in the severe box here or in the very rare box and low impact box. So then you can click, for example, the number, and then you can see what kind of risks there are, and also click the risk title, and then you can see the risk details as well here. And this is also something that we have published earlier, this sidebar. It was published in March. So this enables to see all the risk scores as well in this kind of a sidebar, and also the other details. And the previous software update also enables the possibility to add new risks directly from the visualization. So here, if you just notice that there is something missing, you could just add a new risk here and then just assign it to a category here. And then when you save this, you can directly update its risk impacts and likelihoods, for example, or whatever criteria you have. So here you can also see the results, and then you can see all the added risks here and go back to them if you want in afterwards. And then we have this basic scatter plot that we have also support the data matrix style, but this is more in-depth view. So you can see directly the individual risks, for example, that go to the high area and then the low area. So it's similar, but this is maybe more in-depth version of that. And these different visualizations can be then changed in these smart selections. So here I have this risk matrix example, for example, and then I made also a couple of examples in the criterion formula, so you can see the scatter plot from example. Check the average, so it draws this kind of a little bit different kind of background to the scatter plot, or just check the scatter plot by the sum calculation. So these kind of different visualizations here. And also the result table is also following the criteria colors that I showed you. So for example, you can see what kind of risk impacts there are and what, for example, red have had the most critical impact and the green have the low impact, for example. And then you can see the colors here nicely and visually. But yeah, I will hand over now to Roope to introduce the other new visualizations. But you can ask questions and write questions all the time, and we are going to go through in the end of this session.
Thank you, Matthias, and good morning also from my behalf. All right, so next I will introduce the smart tagging feature, and the idea of the smart tags is that they can be assigned automatically based on the values that items have received in assessments. And for the filtering, they can be used same way as the regular tags that are put in manually. So the smart tagging, how it can be applied, it happens under the criteria page, and it can be applied for criterion formulas. So for example, in this example, we will assign smart tags based on the risk score. So we can see here that we have two risk score formulas now. I have created a little bit simpler one with only 3 options. So the idea is that we add a risk score criteria here, or whatever criteria you want to have. And then we create the tags based on the values. So for example, if I open this formula, we can see that we have 3 values here. And these are coming from when we multiply impact by likelihood. And this is the risk score. So if the risk is receiving a certain value, for example 10, it will be 10 put in under the tag manageable risk. And if it receives a value, for example 13, then that will be put in the category risks that requires attention, and so forth. So if there's a risk with risk score 25, then it would be put in the critical risk category. And we can decide the rounding system again here, how we want to round to these categories. So under here, if you use the rounding option, then it will be rounded to the nearest category. But in this case, we want to make sure that only if the floor is exceeded, then it will be put into the certain category. Meaning that, for example, value 11 would be still in the green category and receiving the manageable risk tag. After we have everything set up in the criterion formula, here on the right side, we can click Enable Smart Tags. And when we enable it, we click here, Enable, and then after we will see this kind of window. And here we can see the tags that we have created. They are coming automatically from the criterion formula. So here we have 3 tags now. We have a critical risk, risks that require attention, and manageable risk tags. We can edit the names here on the right side, and we can also add the icons for each of the tags as well. There is a 5-minute change time here. So when you apply these tags, it takes around 5 minutes to get live. And after that, automatically, all the items that you have in your project will be tagged based on these criteria. So this is very useful, for example, handling a large amount of data. You don't need to anymore do any manual working tagging. You can set up the smart tags, and then the tags will be assigned automatically. And this will make filtering much more easier and efficient in the visualization side. These tags can also be used then in the assessment sessions as well. And how does it look in the visualization side? Now, when we go to visualizations, and we want to filter risks based on these smart tags, we can use the filter risk option in any visualization, go to the risk tags, and here we can see the new smart tags that we have created. For example, now, if we want to only focus on the critical risks, which meant that the risk has risk score more than 20, we select this one here, and now only the items that has risk score more than 20 will be displayed. Then I will show you the visualizations of risk details view. So the risk details visualization allows you to see all the information that individual risk has in one view. And this is very useful, for example, in situations where you want to display or take a look overall view of the all risks and see all the information that belongs to them. Here on the right side, you can decide what data you want to show. Here in the view, we can decide, for example, different criterion formulas, show criterias. And if we have some additional information fields, they will appear in here and we can decide whether we want to choose the information or not. So here we can see the values that the risk has. For example, you can see the risk score, risk impact, and risk likelihood that this risk got in the latest assessment. Also, if we take our cursor over this box here, we can see how this is comparing to the session average from late times. So yeah, it makes the comparison between the long-term average. We can, for example, in this example, see that in the last session, the impact was higher compared to the long-term average. In the same view, we can also see the risk tags that are dedicated to this specific risk. We can see the description. And if we have tasks, we can also add the list of tasks visible in here. Then we have another visualization called risk counts. And the risk count idea is that we can create a bar chart and group the data different in there. So for example, here we have grouped the information based on the categories. We can see that category strategy risk has 28 risk in it, and operational risks has 19 risk in it. We can also, of course, select which kind of data we want to include there. So if we want to use, for example, a risk score based on the smart tags actually we made, we can see that now in the manageable risk category, we have 76 risks, and yellow one has 9, and the critical category has 2. And then we can decide, of course, whether we want to do this from the all sessions or only from the latest sessions. The information can also be grouped inside the bars. So if we would group it first in the separate bars as the categories, we can then select the data for inside the bar. So for example, in this case, we can check whether the risk item has task assigned. We select here, risk has tasks. And now we can see that inside, for example, operational risk, we have 19 risk in total, where 1 has tasks and 18 doesn't have tasks. So this is a very efficient way to visualize certain things. Then, last but not least, one of our new visualizations we got is called Box and Whiskers plot, and it is advanced way how to display data statistically. I'm not going into too detail how it works. If you are interested, I recommend to learn a little bit more about it, but simplified, it shows the distribution, median, and outliers of the data. And also in this view, we can use the grouping methods similarly as in previous example. So here, if we, for example, want to take a look based on the risk score, let me take for example, like this. Here, this may be a better way to look at it. Yeah. So for example, here we can then see item by item, a little bit how the data has distributed between different categories. And if we put the risk score in this axis here, now we can see that, for example, that if we take a look at the health and safety risk, we can see that most of the values belong in this area. But then if we compare it to the operational risk, we can see that they have received values between 25 and even nearby the 1. So the variation is much higher in this category than it is in, for example, in health and safety risks. But that's pretty much it about our new functionalities in a nutshell. Next, I think we can take the questions if you have some, and feel free to ask anything in the chat. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you guys. That was a quick overview. Right now it looks like we don't have any questions in the, or do we? Okay, sorry. Thank you, Ville.
I think there is one.
My assistant here. Was it in the chat? Or Q&A? Great. Okay, so here's the question. Hi. If the likelihood and impact criteria are not linear, i.e. each next interval is wider than the previous, can the risk score calculation impact times likelihood take into account the actual nonlinear values, let's say based on the midpoint of the intervals?
I need to
Do we know
reread
the
the
answer?
question again.
Yeah, can you see it in the Q&A?
Yes. Did you, Matthias, get the question?
Not exactly, but maybe we could consult our dev team with that as well quickly.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely come back to you.
Yeah.
Because let's just try and make sense of the question, and we'll definitely respond afterwards. I had one question related to the smart tagging, because I can't recall now as to whether it's a technical reason or something else, this 5-minute delay in updating those values that you mentioned, Roope.
That excellent question. Yeah, that comes from the technical restrictions, because if we would basically update all of these real time, it would consume quite a lot of our system. So that's why we have 5 minutes break. Also, another reason for that is that if you do several adjustments, it kind of gives you a little bit thinking time as well, that if you add a tags there, then you can do the changes a little bit afterwards before it gets to be applied. So yeah, that's fine. But speaking about the 5-minute like time gap, it only applies when you create a new smart tag. So if you create a smart tag, let's say now, and then you run a new assessment session or create new risks there into your risk register, then the smart tags will be applied automatically in these cases. So if you think about the regular project, you usually maybe create the smart tags only once in the beginning when you start and create your project in the Inclus. And after that, everything will be updated in real time.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any other questions still? I suppose not. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. And yeah, I mean, if you have any sort of questions or concerns specific to your company and your customer, please contact Roope or Matthias or this support address, and we will be happy to go through all the features and functionalities like tailored to your specific case and product. And in case you're not a customer and you'd like to see a demo of Inclus, please just follow the QR code and book a time, and we will be happy to demonstrate the tool for you specifically. So thank you for your attention and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.